You may have realized that being healthy feels different than it did in the past now that you're over 50. If you want to maximize your health potential but don't have time to read through overwhelming pages of Google links, this is the show for you. Welcome to Healthy Tips After 50. We love doing the research, finding solutions, talking to health experts, and learning what works and what doesn't. Now, your host. She spent the last 25 years dedicated to feeling her best and is here to share her best findings with you, Susan Rosen.
Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen. And today my guest is, I remember his last name. Now I can't remember his first name. Last name's Watamull. David. I should remember right. That. That's my brother's name. God, one of those days today. And I am going to, like I usually do, is to ask David if he can give us a little introduction and tell us a little bit about what he's doing and why and where it all came from.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. Yes, my name is David Watamull. Actually, my father's name is David and my grandfather's name is David. So I often go by Dave as well to keep things straight. But yeah, so I'm from Hawaii and really passionate about helping people live longer, healthier lives, and came across this amazing naturally occurring molecule called astaxanthin that most people have not heard of, but all of us have probably consumed it at one point or another because it's actually what makes salmon pink. It gives lobster and crab and shrimp their beautiful color as well. Right. Okay. Even flamingos are pink because of astaxanthin through their diet. Wow. But it's so much more than just a natural pigment. It has profound impacts on health and longevity. It's a super powerful, if not nature's most powerful antioxidant. And it's something that actually co-evolved with photosynthesis. So billions of years ago when plants were, first figuring out how to utilize the sun to create energy and thrive, they needed to have a defense mechanism to deal with the byproducts of that UV light. And so that's how nature came up with this whole class of compounds called carotenoids. And then ultimately landed on astaxanthin, which we've taken a keen interest in because of how it works in the body and fights off this oxidative stress and inflammation that occurs. Wow. Okay. That's so, important when you look at health and longevity. So I've been working on this for 25 years at this point. I started in the late 90s, when I was, finishing high school and, actually worked in the production of the algae that produces this molecule called astaxanthin and have been with it ever since in terms of studying, what it does, how it works, how to make it, how to deliver it. And so it's been a really exciting journey. And it's something that we find that, virtually everyone can benefit from. And so we've been on a mission to, create awareness about astaxanthin and its benefits.
Wow. That's great. That's great. So was there a particular point where you said, oh, okay, I'm going to make it in a pill or I'm going to make it in some other different way? And, how did you come about figuring out what form you were going to do it in?
Yeah. So when we first started this, the group we were working with that was growing the microalgae, was actually looking at supplying, the product to salmon feed, farmers and manufacturers as a key ingredient in their feed. But that process ended up not being, feasible and scalable. But given the important health benefits, we said, well, let's actually, bring out a dietary supplement, with this product. And so back in 2000, we launched, a dietary supplement with astaxanthin from the microalgae that we were growing on the Big Island of Hawaii. And so we quickly realized that even though it has important benefits, the production of the algae in these big open ponds on the Big Island of Hawaii, is very challenging. It's kind of, prone to contamination. Batch to batch variability is an issue. It takes a lot of water, a lot of land, a lot of energy. So it's actually not the most sustainable. And it's not the most scalable. And so if virtually everyone can benefit from this product, thinking ahead, how can we do this in a way that is actually, practical, and good for the world, good for people. And so we pivoted to utilizing natural product total synthesis, which is basically where you work in the laboratory and construct the natural molecule step by step to make the exact same nature identical molecule, the exact same structure. It's the same, carbon and oxygens and hydrogens and everything that you would find in nature. But rather than trying to extract it from the algae, where you're left with still 90 to 95% other stuff from the algae and not just the astaxanthin that you want, we can produce just the astaxanthin molecule itself in super high purity, very high consistency. And so then we formulate it into a highly bioavailable form so that you can absorb it really well into your body. And so we found that this combination of the superior purity, the increased absorption or bioavailability, and the increased environmental sustainability with less water, less land, less energy, less raw materials, all of that was the best path forward. And so with that, we actually looked at both pharmaceutical and nutraceutical applications of the product. And so if you look at, say, by comparison, the fish oil or omega-3 market, there have been both prescription forms that have been developed and also supplement forms. And so we took the same approach and looked at pharmaceutical applications of the product, very high doses, disease types of states, and shown reductions in things like plaque buildup in the arteries or blood clots or liver damage and things, looking at that pathway. And then we also looked at benefits for health and longevity applications as a dietary supplement. And so we believe that in the supplement form, it's accessible to everyone. And people can take this as a daily, health product as part of their normal routine. If they're taking a multivitamin or a fish oil, this is a great addition to that to help with your daily health, but also how long you live. So your lifespan and your health span, how healthy you are throughout your life.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Wow. So, do you sell it in health food stores and places like that, or?
Yeah. So, we had, had a prior form, of the product that we had, sold in, nutritional stores, and marketed with, physicians, in terms of benefits, so they could relate the benefits to their patients. And that was certainly pre-pandemic, but the world has changed and shopping behaviors are different. And so, we always felt that the way to reach the most people and help the most people would be to do this direct to consumer, through a digital model. And so we launched, AX3 Life, AX3.life as a website to create the education, and the shopping experience for the product, and also an Instagram community as well. And so we're doing this just as an online direct to consumer, at this point, because we think it's the most, efficient way to reach people. And this is not a product that people know about. And so putting it on a shelf in a health food store is not really gonna, have much impact, because people are not going to even be aware of what it is. And so we want to create this conversation, organically through, friends and family, conversations like with you, like we're having, social media, web, etc. And that's the approach that we're taking, and then building this community, and then just efficiently, setting up a subscription and sending people a monthly supply, is the way that we think is going to work well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. So when did you pivot to doing that?
We pivoted over the course of the last couple of years. And so we actually just launched, this brand called AX3 this year. And so it's been kind of a COVID or pandemic, shift to develop this brand and this, mechanism to reach, people. And, we still have our, predecessor form, of brand of the product that is available in, say, some stores in Hawaii, some nutritional stores and retailers. But we felt that really to reach most people, doing this shift, here, throughout the pandemic would be the way, to go. And so, so this particular brand we just launched this year. But the underlying ingredient and the science behind it has been in the works for 25 years.
You're just pivoting to a different
mechanism of speaking and connecting with people and creating awareness about it, because it's a hard molecule to pronounce. Astaxanthin, when you look at it on paper, there's a lot of letters and there's an X in there, and so it's kind of a bit overwhelming. So what is it? How do you say it? What does it do?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're trying to do.
Unfortunately, that's more of a reflection on human beings than it is on
Yeah.
the actual name.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Sorry.
I
It
agree.
just hit me. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, got it.
hmm
Okay.
hmm hmm Yeah, yeah. So we tried to shorten the name. That's why we call it AX3. So it's
Three. Yeah.
easier than Astaxanthin. And it kind
Yeah.
of highlights those three benefits I talked about in terms of increased purity, increased bioavailability,
Uh-huh.
increased environmental sustainability.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just mention in terms of that 3 times or increased bioavailability, a lot of people don't realize that, just because you take a capsule of a supplement, that not all of it necessarily gets into your body, gets into your
No.
bloodstream and your tissues. A lot of it can just pass right through you. And it's very unfortunate. So you're not actually absorbing. And so we developed this, special formulation with our manufacturing partner that allows it to be readily absorbed. And we did a
Hmm.
head-to-head human study where we took a version from the microalgae and gave a group of human volunteers
Uh-huh.
a dose and then measured their blood levels of astaxanthin over the course of a whole day and then had them not take any astaxanthin supplement or food for a week, brought the
Hmm.
same people back, gave them the same dose of our form, and then
Hmm.
again measured their blood levels, and we got 3 times the amount of astaxanthin absorbed
Wow.
into the blood. Yeah, and so
That's
that's a
huge.
huge difference in terms of biological utility because it does have a dose dependent effect. And so the more you get in, the better, the benefits you could hope to experience.
Yeah.
Also from a cost, standpoint, you need to buy 3 times as much of the other to have the equivalent of ours. And so that's
And
something
there's no
that
way
we
to
think is
know,
key.
right?
hmm
I mean,
hmm
really. I mean, when I take a vitamin, I don't know how much of it actually gets into my system.
Yeah, yeah. And so we have measured that
Yeah.
and actually in our with our product, not only was it 3 times more, it was less variable between the individuals because there's always
Mm,
some variability between
right.
people. There was a lot more variability with the microalgal form. And so we think that when we presented this to healthcare professionals, that's something that they really take comfort in because, not only is it pure, but it's well absorbed and it's more consistent, person to person. And so
Hmm.
that's, really important to
Yeah.
actually know what you're putting in your body and having the most, help that you can with that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So you are going direct to the consumer as well as going through the medical professionals.
Yeah. So we have our roots were in the early 2000s after we pivoted from the microalgal form to the natural product total synthesis form. We
Hmm.
actually did a decade of pharmaceutical development.
Mm,
And like I mentioned, we did various
right.
studies looking at its impacts. We worked on the manufacturing a
Uh-huh.
lot. And so our expertise was really in the science and working with doctors and scientists.
Mm,
And so when we initially launched the dietary supplement form of this product coming from the natural product total synthesis, we marketed to healthcare professionals, to
hmm.
various types of doctors, nurses,
Hmm.
even dentists.
Huh.
And so, yeah, so we presented to thousands of them over the years. We've had, dinners and seminars,
Uh-huh.
continuing medical education programs. We've even had, say, a meal where we're sitting down with a doctor, a group of doctors, talk about the science, and they get so excited, they'll ask for a sample and start taking it right there with the meal, and so so that's kind of been our roots,
Yeah.
but it is hard to change physician behavior. They're so used to writing the prescriptions that they write, and so to actually change that behavior is harder.
Hmm.
And so that's why we pivoted to going direct to consumer.
Uh-huh.
And so this
Hmm.
is something where we love speaking with physicians, and so for any that don't know about this or want to learn more, we're happy to have those conversations, and hopefully they can help create awareness within their communities. But at the same time, you know, consumers, every day, people, everyone is
Hmm.
smart and doing their own research with great tools online. And so we're trying
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
provide that information and education so that they can really dig in and understand. And the more you dig, the more you research, it's, I think, the more trust that you'll have in the
Yes.
product
Absolutely.
and trying it for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh no, I would agree. I would definitely agree. Yeah, it's yeah, especially these days, right? Because there's so many vitamins, which use that as kind of an overarching
Yeah. hmm
thing. So many of them out there. Just total number, right? Let alone the ones that are in your niche that you're in. And it is one of those trendy vitamins. That particular astaxanthin's
there's so
gotten
many
very
things.
popular.
Some people in some spaces, I
Yeah.
mean, certainly in the scientific community, in the longevity and the real health conscious community. But outside of that, a lot of people don't know about it.
That's true.
And it, like you said, there's so many things. It's confusing. Should I be taking this vitamin or this supplement? And oh, I saw this Instagram person talking about it or this celebrity talking about it.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to know. And not everyone follows even the FDA regulations in terms of what you can
Oh, I'm
actually say on the
sure.
label or in your advertising,
Oh, I
and
have
they'll
no
make
doubt.
claims
Yeah.
that are not compliant. And so, we try to be very, strict about, making sure we speak about it in the right way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we think that it's really important to have trusted conversations, whether it's with a healthcare professional, or, say with a trusted, podcast host such as yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
having conversations with people that
Uh-huh.
that people trust, are important.
Right.
And then providing access to the science, to the research, so people can see all the safety that supports it, all the various studies that support how it works and what it does, are really important to separate it from the noise of everything else that, is not necessarily as well supported. And so we think that astaxanthin is something that should fit into the foundation of what people take for overall health and longevity, because it gets throughout your whole body into the cells in your liver, in your heart, in your brain,
Wow.
and reduces the excess oxygen free radicals that are created when your body produces energy. And normally your body has internal mechanisms to deal with that. But over time, as we age or related to environmental factors, obesity, smoking, injury, infections, all these things start to overwhelm your body. And then this body starts to have this chronic inflammatory state that drives aging, which in turn drives more inflammation, this inflammaging process.
Yeah, right.
And so to have something that you can take safely every single day to help mitigate that and fight that inflammation is a core foundational type of product. So multivitamins, omega-3s, probiotics, are all common kind of foundational types of products. And we think that astaxanthin, should be part of that foundational day-to-day health regimen. And then separately, there's another community and growing community of people that are really interested in longevity, both how long you live, your lifespan, but how healthy you are throughout your life, your health span, of course, which is what we want. No one wants to live long if they're not healthy and feeling good. And so there's been a lot of research looking at various agents that can impact longevity, and astaxanthin, in addition to having impacts on health, like your joint health or your heart health or brain health, there's actually been research in various models looking at extension of lifespan as well. And so there's some really exciting research in that space. And so there are other kind of hot topics or ingredients related to longevity that have had a lot of press in recent years. But the science around astaxanthin for longevity, for lifespan and health span is actually really strong. And we're even working on a study with the National Institutes of Health that is looking at lifespan and is in the process of being peer reviewed for publication this year. And so that'll be something that when that's announced later this year, there'll be even more conversation about the role of astaxanthin for longevity. And so we think that astaxanthin will really be part of that conversation going forward, both about longevity and then just overall health. And so it's something that we think a lot of people just haven't heard about it. It's been known in the scientific community. It's been making its way into various circles, but it's something that over the course of the next several months and years, our goal is really to bring this into everyday conversation. So people say, "Oh yeah, I take an omega-3. Oh yeah, I take astaxanthin." And this is something that should be known.
Exactly. And so people don't end up with, when someone says that to them, they don't end up with this look on their face like, huh?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah.
No, exactly. Are there things with some vitamins, they say, okay, don't take it within 6 hours of taking this other one, or, take it when you go to bed, or take it. I mean, so I'm assuming that you have all of those kinds of things identified either on the packaging or in how you're getting the word out. What are some of those things that people should be thinking about?
Yeah, this is certainly a very unique a situation with astaxanthin where there's been extensive safety studies,
Mm-hmm.
very high doses, long types of studies, say in animals to support its use in humans, and looking at just general safety concerns, carcinogenicity, reproductive and developmental toxicity, all these types of things. And there's really been nothing identified that is of clinical significance to the safety of humans. And even in terms of interactions with other medications or supplements, there's been nothing that's been, say, shown in clinical studies to, like say with statistical significance to demonstrate that, oh, you can't take astaxanthin with something else. I mean, we always recommend that if someone is on various medications or supplements or has various medical, issues, that of course they have to have to consult their doctor or healthcare professional and monitor their health and figure out for them, what medications, what supplements, and if you add anything new or modify anything, you always want to be on that and adjusting things as needed. And so with that caveat, there are no known, things that are off limits, like, oh, don't take it with this, don't eat it with that. What we do recommend for everyone is to certainly take astaxanthin with a meal because it promotes absorption.
Well, there you go.
And so that's one, common tip. It could be breakfast and dinner. It could be one or the other, as long as it has some healthy fats in it, which help to promote absorption. So it could be avocado or nuts or olive oil. Some fat content is important. One thing that can be experienced by some people, although we wouldn't consider this a safety or a side effect, really is it can discolor the stool. Just because, it makes salmon pink and lobsters red and so it's like eating beets.
How funny.
If it does pass through, it can discolor the stool, but certainly if you're taking it with a meal, it seems to reduce that or eliminate it. So it's not going to happen for everyone, but if it does happen, it's a sign that some is getting through, and maybe try to take it closer to a meal or look at, did you actually have any fat in that meal? And hopefully that could reduce it. But that's the main thing that people have experienced. Again, not a safety concern, but just, an effect that can happen.
So. Well, that's good to know though, because people will freak out if they don't understand that.
And actually we've had it where, as a positive byproduct, there are some people who take various NSAIDs, anti-inflammatory drugs, not just for the acute short-term use that they are intended for, but they're taking them for long-term health issues, joint issues and things that, or even if someone has heard about inflammaging, like, oh, I want to reduce my inflammation, I'll just take, ibuprofen or some type of aspirin or something. And that's not something you want to be doing chronically because of side effects. And so we've had reports of people who were able to reduce or eliminate their reliance on some of those products for long-term health issues because, as a supplement, we're not a replacement for a drug for disease or pain indications. But when people are relying on those drugs for health and longevity purposes, that's not what they're intended for either. And so we've had people that could actually reduce or get off of some of those products and just rely on astaxanthin, which is much safer. So that's a positive side effect.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think my mother probably lived on Tylenol for a good 10 years before she passed.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. I mean, liver issues, you don't want that. We've actually shown benefits in terms of liver, reduced liver enzymes, rather than elevated, which a lot of things can impact that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Luckily, knock on wood, whatever. She didn't develop any of those kind of problems.
Yeah.
She had plenty of problems, but that wasn't one of them.
And interestingly, you were mentioning to me before we started here that, she suffered from a lot of allergies and so the immune system was very active. And so with astaxanthin, we've seen, say, for instance, in salmon that they are less prone to infection, with astaxanthin. And so, it's kind of counterintuitive because a lot of times when people think about anti-inflammatories, they have to be concerned about the risk of infections because it's having such a potent impact on inflammation. It shuts it down, but then you're no longer able to have your immune response, as you should for normal, health. And so with astaxanthin, rather than working downstream or just shutting down the inflammatory process completely, it gets rid of that pathological activation of inflammatory pathways that you don't want. That is kind of when it's going out of whack or going awry. And so because of that, you can still fight off infections or wound heal. So your immune system can still function normally. It's just not doing the unwanted, inflammation that over time can manifest itself as, a heart issue or a brain issue or a joint issue. And so that's something where, restoring cellular health, homeostasis, kind of the normal order and working of things in your cells is really the way that astaxanthin works as kind of that safeguard and support system. That's how it can be safe, but also have benefit and allow your immune system to behave in a more normal way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. Because people, yeah, I just won't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. So there's a lot. Yeah.
So it sounds like what you've done is put together this whole supply chain yourself and doing it that way. So do people then, is there a website or something that they go to, or how does it, how do you set that up for people to
we have our website, ax3.life.
Okay.
And also on Instagram, it's the same, ax3.life. And so, AX3 is basically we abbreviated astaxanthin. And also we have the 3 in there because it gives 3 times the amount of astaxanthin to your body.
Very cute.
But also the 3 benefits of the manufacturing purity, the increased absorption, and the environmental sustainability. So kind of a double meaning there, but AX3 is the brand, and then, .life. So rather than .com, we utilize .life because we are trying to, promote better, healthier lives. And so, so it's just AX3.life is the website. And then same thing for Instagram. And, we have a lot of education there about astaxanthin, about AX3, our form of astaxanthin. And then also, we have it set up as a subscription product, because this is not something where, I'll just try it and see if it works in a week or two, because, you don't see if longevity works in a week or two. This is something you're supposed to take for a while, for your whole life, hopefully. And so we set up that way to conveniently ship to people. But at the same time, a lot of people can be concerned about, I don't want to get locked into a subscription. What if I can't cancel it, or, that type of a thing? They just keep charging me. And so we make it super easy where people can log into their own account without even a password. It kind of sends a code to your email and phone. So you don't have to worry about saving a password or anything. You just put in your email. They'll send you the temporary passcode. You'll log right in, and then you can easily reschedule shipments. You can update, address, payment information. You can cancel if you want. I mean, all that is there. Or always reach out to our team, and then our team will just do the same on their behalf. If they don't want to deal with logging in or anything, just send an email, give a call, leave a voicemail, whatever it may be, and we'll make the change. And so we want to make it as easy as possible, but at the same time, we want to instill that routine, because this is meant to be part of your daily healthy lifestyle. So just like you want to eat the right things and do the right types of activities and rest, all that is important. And this is a part of that. So we want to kind of build this into that daily habit, and promote that health in the long term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like there aren't many things that you have to worry about an interaction with.
Yeah. Again, we don't know what we don't know in terms of, not every person has consumed this, but at the same time, you think about, a lot of people have consumed salmon and, haven't heard of side effects of eating salmon.
I eat it every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but not to be confused with, say, shellfish fish, where, this does make lobster and crab and shrimp red.
Yes.
But the allergens that are present in those crustaceans are not present in astaxanthin. That's something else. And so, but again, so if anyone has concern about allergens or, can I, tolerate this? It's like, well, can you eat salmon? I mean, that's a good start. If you can eat salmon, then you should be able to consume astaxanthin. And then it's just a matter of what dose works for you. And so we recommend 1 capsule morning and night with breakfast and dinner. But people can adjust, up or down depending on how they feel. You can look at how you're sleeping, your mental clarity, your energy. You can look at your joint health, your muscle health, cardiovascular health. So we've actually done a human clinical study in cardiovascular patients that had, they were already on all the normal cardiovascular medications, but we showed on top of all of that, reductions in cholesterol, reductions in blood pressure, and, things like that. And so, you can even say with your doctor, when you go in for your routine checkup, so whether it's 3, 6, 12 months, take a look at your blood levels of your
Mm-hmm.
LDL cholesterol or your triglycerides or
Mm-hmm.
your HSCRP, which is a measure
Mm.
of inflammation, and then see where it is after taking the product for 3 months or 6 months. And then you could potentially adjust up or down and then check again the next time and see. So you can look at both, biomarkers. You can look at how you feel,
Mm-hmm.
joints and muscles, mentally,
Mm-hmm.
recovery if you're doing
Yeah.
active types of things. And so there's a lot of different ways to kind of experience it and see, if it's benefiting you. And so you have all that, plus you have the underlying science, which supports increased lifespan and long-term health, because a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
things, cardiovascular issues, brain issues, joint issues, they don't necessarily happen overnight. I mean, maybe if you have an injury, but otherwise they are, long things that progress over years and decades. And so if you can have this,
Mm-hmm.
supportive agent on board, then that compounding
Yeah.
effect of supporting your health for years and decades can really help you be on a much better trajectory. And so rather than trying to fix a problem and waiting for it to
Mm-hmm.
happen,
Yeah.
at whatever point in life, it's easier to try to stay as healthy as you can and as active as you
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
throughout life. So that's really what we're trying to support.
Yeah. No, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a real attitude with a lot of people. Well, but I feel fine. Why would I want to take anything?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
yeah, but don't you want to continue to feel fine?
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't get in, car accidents, so why do I need car insurance, right?
Yeah,
And it's
right.
like, you want to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
yeah. So the smart thing to do is to do something like this, and especially
Mm-hmm.
something that's not going to cause, other side effects or safety issues. So something that's
Right.
super safe, you have to start there,
Uh-huh.
and then have it on board and support your health along the way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's easy enough just to start with one a day if somebody's
Mhm.
worried.
Yeah, people
And
can do that
then,
and experiment
then,
and see how it goes.
yeah.
hmm
Yeah. Exactly. So that means I don't have to eat my salmon in the morning anymore.
Well, I mean, salmon still has omega-3s, which are great for you,
I know, but I take those too.
yeah, yeah. So,
You
I
don't
mean,
want to see all the stuff I take.
yeah. No, I mean, so we obviously, whenever I can get salmon, I'm eating it as well. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not a replacement, but it would be hard to consume the amount of salmon needed for this. You have to consume several
Yeah. Oh
fillets of
no.
salmon every day. And
Yeah.
so,
No. I'm. Yeah.
but yeah, certainly, incorporating together with a
Yeah.
diet that is healthy is great. And so, yeah, you don't necessarily need to eat your salmon for breakfast anymore, but hopefully with a nice
Yeah. I don't
dinner.
need that much. I make salmon salad.
There you go.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
and I eat about that much of it every day
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
avocados.
Perfect. Well, that would be a perfect meal to then take your AX3
It
with.
is.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. And then my buckwheat bread and
Perfect.
my almond butter on it with honey.
Yeah.
Best breakfast around.
That sounds great.
And
Yeah.
organic coffee.
Perfect. Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
make.
Those are the types of meals that would be perfect to take our product with. And so, yeah, so we don't think this is necessarily a replacement for a healthy diet or exercise, but it's a
No, I
perfect complement to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They work together.
Exactly. Mhm.
So, okay. Well, I think maybe we can wrap up unless you have some other things that you wanted to talk about. I will be happy to put your website in, although it's pretty easy to remember, but
Mhm.
I'll put it in the show notes anyways.
Yeah.
And, great information. And I'm really excited about trying the product out.
Sounds excellent.
So,
It was a
my
real
age,
pleasure
I
to
need
chat
all
with
the
you.
help I can get.
I think everyone can take all the help they can, and it's important throughout life. Yeah, it's never too late to start, and I think it's something that can help people at any age just to live a longer, healthihier life. So
Yeah, exactly.
thanks so much.
Exactly.
It's been great chatting with you, and we'll stay in touch. We have new research ongoing and new
Oh
studies
boy.
coming out in the future, and
Okay.
so we'll just keep you
Sounds
posted.
good. That sounds
Yeah.
great. So thank you. And let me say that neither of us are doctors, and this is not to be seen as medical advice. And I think that's about all I have to say at the end of these things. And thank you very much, David, for coming on and telling us about your new product. It's very exciting.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks.
This has been Healthy Tips After 50 with Susan Rosen. To stay on the cutting edge of the most effective health strategies, subscribe to this podcast and let us know what you thought of the show with a comment or like on iTunes. Visit healthytipsafter50.com for this episode's show notes, more resources, and free offers.